never be broke again. This is the ultimate money mindset shift. So why are we broke in the first place? So a lot of it is it's a thinking problem, right? It's a lot of it's programming, right? The way we were raised, the way our parents spend money, the way the parents see money, and the way, society has cultivated, a debt mindset, and living above our means mindset too, right? So everything's programming. So it's our program. So first of all, it's our program, which is our thinking and our program. It's a program. So all money is, it's all behavior-based, period. It's all behavior-based. At the end of the day, when it comes down to money, like everything else, it's a program. It's your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind runs 95% of your life. Your subconscious mind is a bunch of programs. That's what your subconscious mind is. So it is your program. So if your parents, if you were raised up in a household which, say, you weren't making a lot of money, say your parents are broke, they never had money, most likely that's your paradigm, that's your subconscious, that's what you're programmed. So for the most part, you most likely are probably going to go through that until you start listening to stuff like this and you start creating and cultivating new habits and getting new information to get you outside of that mindset. In sports, people go broke. They're making $25, $50 million a year sometimes, and they go broke. Why is that? We always question, why do these people go broke? Because a lot of those people came from nothing. A lot of those guys came from nothing. So the second they get money, they feel like they need to spend it all. They need to go out, because they never had money like that. So when you have money like that, people go and spend it because they have it. And they want to give their parents a house, their friends a house. The next thing you know, they have no money. They spend all their money in one paycheck in literally a week. I've listened to these guys talk about that. Like Shaq spent, I think, $1 million in a week. His first $1 million paycheck, he spent it in a week. And that's the mindset, because a lot of these guys didn't grow up, in households that taught them that. They were, number one, they weren't taught that stuff. And number two, it was the paradigm. They didn't know what it was like to have money. So a lot of people self-sabotage themselves because they don't feel like they are worthy for the money. So a lot of it's self-sabotage. And the other thing is there's so much media out there negatively, So if you're consuming negative media about why it's so hard to get by, why you're not making it, and then you go out and blame everybody for why that is, that you're taking power away from yourself when you blame other people. But if you start taking accountability, I'm not saying be hard on yourself, I'm saying taking accountability, being able to listen. I know I can do better. There's something I can do, and you start thinking about this, right? And then next thing you know, you're clicking on a video like me, and I'm going to explain to you how you can put yourself in a better financial position. So again, it is programming and thinking. It's your subconscious mind. It's your subconscious mind. If everybody tells you, oh, if you want to go and buy a car, you need to go into debt. You want to buy a car? Go into debt. So everybody knows that. Everybody's been told that. But you should not go into debt to buy a car. If you can't afford, for instance, to buy the car cash, you should not buy the car. Because then what's happening is, right now the average car payment is $700 a month. The average car payment is $700 a month. $700 a month. I think right now the average car is like $50,000. That's crazy. So a lot of people will be like, well, if I can afford the monthly payment, then I can afford the car. That's not true. No, if you can't afford to buy the car cash, you don't need a brand new car. You can use a beater, right? So you don't have access to $700 a month right now. So you got $700 for a car, right? Then let's say you like to shop. So let's say you spend, I'll go with me, right? So my car was $700 a month, right? Let's talk about me, okay? So you can better understand. So I was spending $700 a month on my car, right? And then I was going out to eat. I was spending $800 a month going out to eat. Car, eat. Then I was like, oh, I like looking good. So I'm gonna go to a place called Laser Way. and I'm going to get a whole bunch of stuff done on my face. Nothing like, medical procedures or anything, just like, typical laser treatments to my face. I don't like my facial hair, so I get laser treatments. And I want to get a laser facial because I want to look good. So then I was like, oh, let me use a credit card for that. They're like, oh, it's 0 interest as long as you pay it off within a certain time. So I was spending $350 a month on that. On face. $350 a month on my face. Okay? Then I want to live on the water in South Tampa, in a very prestigious area. So, let me go live on the water and have all of these awesome amenities. That was all in, probably about $1,800 on rent, right? What else? So this is just a gist of just some things, right? $700 car, $800 going out to eat, $350 on face. So, do I need a brand new car? No. I don't need a brand new car. $800 a month on going out to eat. Here's the thing that you guys don't realize. A lot of us don't realize how much money we actually spend because, again, we're not aware of it. That's why you need to put yourself on a budget. Once I put myself on a budget, I know it sounds boring, and I know everybody hates that word, but it's actually, you gotta make it fun, right? So once I put myself on a budget, I didn't realize I was spending $800 a month going out to eat. That was ridiculous. And that was only going out 2-3 times a week. $800 a month. That's my freaking car payment. That's my car payment, guys. I don't have my car payment anymore because I paid it off. So, yeah. The thing is, we don't know what we spend our money on. So we're going through every day. I'm not saying, not every, I'm sure some of you are on a budget, but for the most part, I'm just talking about, people who are not on a budget. You don't know what you're spending your money on. That's why if you go on, for instance, rocketmoney.com, the Rocket Money, the app, I have that. It's awesome. So I use that, right? And then it populates everything, tells me what I'm spending my money on, and I'm like, $800 on food. So what I did is once I know, here's the thing, you gotta put yourself on a budget. Once you're on a budget, now you know what you're spending your money on. Now you can cut your expenses. By the way, guys, this is a very humbling experience. It is a very, very, in my opinion, spiritual experience because it'll humble the fuck out of you. It humbled the fuck out of me. Because I'll say this, when you guys go on this debt-free journey and learning stuff and just in general listening to my channel, it's gonna be a spiritual experience. You have to be grateful for what you have. A lot of us, the reason why we spend so much is because it makes us feel good, right? We get that dopamine in. It's just like going on social media and scrolling. And then a lot of us don't realize it's like we spend too much money. Then we use social media to confirm our bias of, it's not me, it's everybody else, right? And then you take the power away from yourself. And then you'll never get to a good financial position. The second you blame something on someone else, you take your power away. I'm not saying be hard on yourself. Never be too hard on yourself, ever. What I'm saying is be aware to the point that you can pretty much control 85% of things that are going around you. If you can't control something, don't focus on it. Only focus on the things you can control. And that's starting off by going on a budget and knowing how much money you're spending. Because we have to understand these things if we truly want to never worry about money again, or if we want to truly be wealthy. So what I did, I was about $50,000 in debt. I had debt on my car, $10,000 debt on the credit cards. And a lot of people will also, so I had $10,000 on credit cards. So I paid that off in 6 months. Paid off in 6 months because I changed my mindset. Now I know what I want. What do I want? I want to get out of debt. I want to do every damn thing I can possible to get out of debt and everything I can to cut my expenses. You have to have a desire for this. I'm always going to keep saying the word desire. You have to have desire. And the person you're going to become by doing this is going to be that person that's going to get you financially free. It's going to be that person that's going to hold you accountable and make you think twice before you go out and purchase things. Now, I'm not saying you can't go out and splurge once in a while. But what I'm saying is getting the habit of knowing where your money's going. Get the habit of not going into debt to getting something you want, because debt is instant gratification. Debt means I can go get what I want right now. But when you're using debt, you're paying your future wages for debt. You pay your future wages every time you go into debt. Ask yourself right now, if I had no debt, could I quit my job? Could I do a different job? Maybe you don't like your job. Maybe you want to do something else. Maybe you would take a pay cut to do something you actually enjoy. Because today, in today's age, the new slavery is debt. That's the new slavery. But if you have no debt, ask yourself this: what would I do if I had no debt? What would I do? So what did I do to get out of this situation? What did I do to pay off this $50,000 in debt? I downsized. I'm in a studio apartment right? And I'm actually happier than ever. Because now every day I get to wake up and not worry about money. I don't have to worry about money anymore, for the most part, right? So I wake up every day, I'm like, oh, my rent's like nothing here. My rent is only half, which is actually crazy because what I paid rent you cannot find anywhere. I can't find anywhere what I'm paying for what I get. So I downsized. I downsized to a studio. So I'm in a studio. So all in, I'm probably $1,100 a month now. And I'm literally a mile from downtown St. Pete, which is insane. So I downsized to a studio. I cut my expenses. I paid everything off. So now, since I paid everything off, how much money do I have access to a month now? And this is just the big items. Like, there's a bunch of other shit on here. So I have access to So long story short, I have access to $2,000 a month right now, if not more. Actually, about $2,500 a month. So now I have access to $2,500 a month. $2,500 a month by not having debt. $2,500 a month by not having debt. How much money was I wasting towards debt? And the other thing I want to explain to you guys is that money that I'm saving, that $2,500 a month, what I do now is I invest it. I invest this money into the S&P 500. It's called dollar cost averaging. So I'll tell you what, guys, investing is very boring. It's very boring. Don't listen to everybody out there that's like, oh, invest in this stock, you're gonna make $1 million, or invest in this, or oh, don't invest, the market's too high. Don't listen to these people. Also, always question me too, right? Like, do your own research. Don't believe everything I say. Always do your own research. I'm just gonna say that, do your own research. But what I know is pretty solid stuff because I get all my stuff from Warren Buffett pretty much, for the most part. Warren Buffett. He's the best investor, most successful investor on the planet. Because a lot of people, they'll be like, what me and my friend did actually is for the past, it was like 2 years ago, we're like, oh my God, the market's really high. We're gonna time the market. You never time the market, it's stupid. So we're gonna time the market, right? We're gonna wait, the market's too high, it's gonna come down, right? Meanwhile, that entire time, him and I didn't invest in the market. The S&P 500 went up 40%. It went up 40%. 40%. That's why you don't time the market. Me and him thought we were smarter than everybody else. You know, And by the way, this person has very, very, very wealthy friends that also said, oh, market's too high, don't invest. Well, I don't care how much money you have, right? If you ain't Warren Buffett giving me the advice on the market, I'm not listening to it, unless it pretty much is what I'm talking about. So we lost out on 40% by trying to time the market. And I'll tell you why investing is so powerful, because you know how inflation's been crazy, right? Like let's say inflation was what? The highest, 9% per year? Inflation was 9% at the highest, right? That year, I'm not exactly sure what the percentage is for the S&P, but I'm pretty sure, let's go with 25%. The S&P 500 that year went up 25%. So if you're having struggles with inflation, right? If you put that money in the S&P 500, you won't lose money. You'll gain money. You wouldn't have lost 9%. You would have gained 16%. So inflation 9%, you would have gained 16% if you were invested in the market. Because the S&P 500, what that is the top 500 businesses in the U.S., in the United States. Price spelling is wrong. Whatever. Top 500 businesses in the U.S. That's what the S&P 500. It's called index fund. So whenever you hear all these hedge fund managers like, oh, I made 20, 30% this year, I beat the S&P 500. Well, guess what? After all their fees, they probably didn't beat the S&P 500. You're paying them 2% per year to manage your money. And the S&P 500 long-term throughout the past 110 years has been 9% per year. So long-term average, your inflation rate is 3% per year, right? And then long-term average, the S&P is 9% per year. So you're gonna make 6% per year average long-term on your money. So that's a little educated. I love this stuff, by the way, guys. I love finance. I love talking about the law of attraction, mindset, and everything, but finance, shit turns me on. So the more money you can invest, and a lot of people are like, but Jeremy, I don't want to just put money away and see it on the screen. I want to spend it. That's great. What you need to do is you need to create certain spaces for that money you can spend. Like, okay, I want to frivolously spend $200 a month. Then you're going to create $200 a month for spending frivolously. So it's like, you can still do that, right? But what you want to do is, what they say is 15% of everything you make, you want to invest. 15% of everything you make, you want to invest in. If you, for instance, if you only save, let's say you're young right now, let's say you're 20. If you only put away $100 a year for the next 40 years, or 100, if you put away $100 a month for the next 40 years, you'll retire with around, it's like, I think like $1.2 million, right? It's like $1.2 million. So if you're up Schitt's Creek without a paddle and you don't make much money, you don't have to make a lot of money, guys, to be well off, right? So if you don't have that much money and you only put, and I know it's a lot for some people right now, this is just for an easy way for me to remember. If you only put $100 a month away, in 40 years, you'll have $1.2 million. Adjusted to inflation, cut that in half. So $600,000 of purchasing power 40 years from now. So it's going to be $600,000 you'll actually have in purchasing power. That's if you only put $100 a month. You have no reason, no excuse not to put something away for the future. So to recap, everybody, I want you guys to tell me if you like me talking about finance, because I love it, and if you want me to talk more about finance. And there's so much here I did not go through, by the way. There is so much I did not go through. So if you want me to talk about different things, comment what you want me to talk about. So again, money for the most part is programmed thinking. It's, how you're raised, how you grew up, the media you consume, everybody that surrounds you. It's your subconscious mind pretty much. And then get out of debt, guys. I mean, look at this. I was spending $2,500 a month on debt. I have no debt now. That means I didn't need debt in the first place. And I understand that a lot of people that aren't doing financially well, right? They use debt because they're like, but I can't afford to buy a car unless I use debt. Well, I know some people are in certain situations, and I can empathize with that. I've been there, trust me. But by going into debt, and you're paying your future wages by going into that debt. And what if you lose your job? Debt is risk. That's all it is. Debt is risk. And debt keeps people poor. And it's a mindset. People think that they have to use debt. You don't have to use debt. Use your mind, right? Use your mind. Be like, I can't afford this car, but I'm going to keep looking. I know, use your feelings, your emotions. I know that someone is going to come across this car that I really want, and they're going to offer it to me. They might give it to me for free. They might even say, hey, listen, just give me $500. It's a $5,000 car. Just give me $500. I know you're struggling. I know a lot of people who are struggling that they get cars all the time. Like my friend, he has people that drop cars off to his place all the time, mechanic shop. He buys them for like $400, for instance, right? So like, there you go. So you got to be more optimistic about, if you're struggling, like I know someone's going to help me out. I don't have to go into debt. That's the mindset thing too. A lot of people feel like they have to go into debt to buy that car. You don't have to go into debt to buy that car. The right situation will come to you and will help put you in that car. So use that mindset of being optimistic and positive of, I know I'll be in a position to get a car, and magnetize that. And someone will come to you and be like, hey, listen, I don't want this car anymore. I know you are struggling right now, or you need a car. Here's a car. And then with inflation, if you're invested in the S&P 500, you're making money. Because the reason why we have inflation is if we have an average of 3% inflation per year, all these businesses in the S&P 500, they raise their prices to keep up with inflation for the most part. I know you got some price gouging and stuff, right? But that's how business works for the most part. Is inflation's 3%, if my expenses are up 3%, I'm going to raise my expenses 3% or more. So when we're in high inflationary environments, the market for the most part, it doesn't always go up, guys. This is the other thing. The market does not always go up. Just because you're in a high inflation environment does not guarantee that you're going to have 25% positive. Because this 25% positive, the next year it dropped 20% too. But then it went up 35%. So that's the market. So you got to be careful. You have to have a really strong mindset with the market. Just set it and forget it. Dollar cost average, which means you invest so much per week or per month, and you have it all automated, and you just don't think about it. That's the best way to invest. Don't think, just automatically every month. You invest so much, don't think about it, don't worry about it. And you want to invest 15% of everything you make. If you can, invest 15% of everything you make. I want you guys to comment below, what step are you going to take? What's the first step you're going to take on here to get financially free, to get to where you want to be? I appreciate you guys. I love if you like and subscribe. Until next time, I'll see y'all later.